So, history of catapults. They originated around 400 BC in Syracuse, Greece. They were used to destroy castle walls in the Middle Ages, and they were used by Greeks, Romans, the Chinese, and other Europeans.
There are three main types of catapults. There's the mangonel or the onager, and it's like the stereotypical catapult that everybody like sees in the movies and whatnot. And it was the very first armed torsion catapult. And then there's also a ballista, which was mounted on warships, and it was invented by the Greeks in 800 BC. And they were usually used to hurl fire at their enemy ships. And then the last type is the trebuchet, and it's the most accurate and oldest type of catapult that used gravitational potential energy in order to fling missiles and whatnot. And it was often used to spread fire like the ballista. And it was most likely invented by the Chinese or somewhere in the Middle East.
So, the energy of catapults, it's basically just stored energy from the rubber band or whatever your restraining rope is. And then when you release that, it's kinetic energy that will go into your payload and throw that wherever. Another way to look at it is tension from your restraining rope, then torsion, and then gravity. As you throw your payload, the gravity helps carry it with the kinetic energy.
So how the catapult flings the projectile is it uses the stored energy in the rope or whatever string is used as to store the potential energy, and then it's transferred either into the acceleration of the arm mainly, which is for mangonel catapults, and then the rest of the energy is transferred into kinetic energy, which helps fling the ball or hurl the ball into whatever direction it needs to go.
So, some interesting facts about catapults. The word catapult was derived from the Greek word katapultos, which literally means downward small circular shield. Armies used catapults to fling the corpses of people who had died from the plague into their enemy cities so that they would get infected with the plague. And onager was named after a type of old Asian donkey that was known to kick stones at people.
So some more interesting facts. After catapults were no longer used for warfare, people used them to fling live people, and they did this, like, I don't know how this started, but they wanted to break world records to see who could go the farthest. But then this was stopped because there were too many people that died from this for obvious reasons. And then another fact, trebuchet means to fall over or rotate about the middle in French. So this was our original plan for the catapult, and we were just going to use simple pieces of wood that were originally approximately 36 inches long, and then we would cut each of them in half to form the four pieces of the base, and we would just duct tape them together, so we wanted to use really simple materials. And then after that, we wanted to use a sort of triangle arch type thing to hold where the rubber bands would be, and this would be, the rubber bands would connect from here onto the arm of the catapult, and then they would be supported by more wood in a triangle shape so that it wouldn't bend backwards when the arm was pulled backwards. And then this was our very simple design for the arm. We wanted it to be approximately 26 inches long, so it'd be below the limit. And then for the sort of bowl, we wanted to use either like a measuring cup or some sort of spoon.
So this is basically stage one of our construction process. We've taped all the pieces of the base together, and we have taped the triangle as the support for the rubber bands, and we're in the process of creating the arm.
So after we had built the base, we thought maybe it might be better. We realized maybe the duct tape wouldn't hold as well, and so we wanted to experiment with wood glue. But then we found out after we had already attempted to glue the pieces together that it takes half an hour to dry, and even then it didn't hold the pieces together very well. And so this was a failed attempt, and we decided to go back to using the duct tape to hold the edges together, and we figured it would hopefully work well enough.
So after our failed wood glue attempt, we decided to saw angles into the wood of our triangle. That way it would kind of hold together more steadily at the top and then be stronger down at the bottom instead of having like flat edge against corner edge. So, yeah.
So this was our experimentation with the different types of bowls to use for the catapult. So we tried using a salad spoon, a plastic spoon, a slightly wide, small spoon, and then a fourth measuring cup. And we discovered that it didn't really make a difference in how far the ball went, depending on which bowl we used. And so we decided to stay with a measuring cup because it seemed to hold the ball the best while not really constricting it and like not interfering in how it flew or anything.
So this was our first rubber band connection, and the first time we did it, it only went like 3 or 4 meters. So then after that, we decided to use tighter, stronger rubber bands, and then it went further, but still not quite as far as we needed it to go. So then we made chains of tighter rubber bands so that it would have more force.
After we figured out the entire rubber band problem, we had to solve the problem of how to have weight at the bottom without the entire catapult going with the ball when we set off the catapult. So for a while, we just had to keep our weight on it so that it wouldn't flip over when we set it off. But then we planned to put weights on the ends of the catapult so it's held down to the ground while the ball is being flung.
So after we got our rubber band issue and our weight issue figured out, we did another test, and it went a lot further than we thought. It went approximately 10 meters.
So this is our final catapult with all of the rubber bands and the weights to hold it down and everything, and we couldn't fit both of us into one picture with the catapult, so those are our hands. And these are We're Excited. That's all. Thanks for watching, folks.